prescription by a CVS pharmacist for Paxlovid because we don't have that information.
All right, I'm just laughing at one of the things that came through on my work this week, which is just a reminder, if you're a technician in these states, you can only do COVID vaccines. Yes. Not news.
Hello, storyteller. I am interested in this picture you've posted, and yeah, I was about to say the same thing as Hestia. Lucio ended up almost looking exactly the same.
Yeah, I found that interesting. I neither put in any genetic markers for where they originated from, nor anything about sex. Merely the name and a quick Reader's Digest Cliff Notes version of their summation. And this is what it spit out. I even used the title for one of the episodes and a quick appraisal of some of the things going on elsewhere in our little world. And this is what it spit out. I found that really, really interesting. It's also interesting that Miriam is facing almost exactly in the same similar position as their original avatar.
Right.
And it turned
less hair.
Yeah, less hair, a little paler. And it turned Hestia into a green-eyed, strong-jawed individual, which was interesting.
I think it took the green part a little too seriously.
Right.
Well, yeah, but then why wouldn't it have taken Lucio's name? I mean, Lucio has a really good name, like if you're looking for meanings and how they characterize the individual. His name literally means light and dark. So it's one of those things that would have been interesting to see how they interpolated his actual name. But yeah, so how we doing, folks?
It's been an interesting week, to say the least. I shared a marvelous story as it unfolded with Miriam last Friday about the floater pharmacist from hell.
How officious were they, or underperforming?
Both.
Basically, the gist of it is that they, according to my intern who was working at the time, they were not doing anything at all. Like he would go help people in the drive-thru and the front and drop off for like half an hour, go back to check on the data verification queue, and it would still be at the same number of pages it was previously, not having moved at all. Apparently, this floater was basically spending the entire time, like, just looking so intently at everything, zooming in on the pictures, like, down to the pixels, that they literally weren't doing anything else, and they were, like, spending 10 times longer than they needed to on each prescription. All the while, there's lines forming at every station, and there's only my intern and another tech to manage the entire workflow.
You had 2 people?
Yeah. Not only that, they were our best, and it still wasn't enough. They also weren't answering any phone calls either. Every time the phone rang, they just said, "Can you get that?"
Are you sure this is the same person as the Eric that worked at my store?
Well, they were a woman, so I'm pretty sure they are not the same person, just on that fact alone. But yeah, just to like wrap up the story, my intern threatened to quit if they ever had to work with him again.
I completely and totally understand that. I I am a fan of loud quitting these days, and I normally am not. I really like to stick it out, but I'm a fan for it. Like, nope, this is my line. You cross it, I'm done. It is interesting because it's taken me a long time to get to that point with any and every position. But yeah, I've gotten to the point where, no, that's the line. We will stop right there. That's good. And the reason why I say that is, so I don't know if you guys have realized how much of my time has been spent as of late dealing with the problem location for this particular owner, and how much of my time has been just eaten up. Just the travel time isn't bad. It's only to the problem location. It's only like 30 minutes. To every other location, it's like 30 minutes further to get from one location to the next. This particular location is rife with issues, and while I can easily diagnose them and try to initiate a plan to move towards the good, like with knowing where you want to end up and giving you smart goals to get there, is one of my strong suits, and it's been stymied at most turns. Now, the owner himself isn't a bad individual. In fact, he's actually, like, outside of a working relationship, he's really a good person at heart. But you know that old aphorism that the road to hell is paved with good intentions? We're going to hell in a handbasket. Express delivery, overnight Amazon delivery. So I have been putting feelers out and making my displeasure known. About 2 weeks ago, I sat down with the regional manager and let them know that while I wasn't walking out the door, that if anything changed, if there was a bite, a nibble, a nudge, that I would be leaving. I'm not sure if they believed me, because today I walked in and spoke with a few people, and they said, we'll hire you on the spot. So yeah, that's where I am.
Did you say yes?
Congratulations.
It's 25% more pay with defined expectations on both parties' part. That alone pulls the chaos and confusion out of every equation. So I was immediately wooed. I was immediately like, oh, okay, hey, that's better. That's better. So, and it will have, instead of operationally being on call at the drop of a hat, I will have a set schedule. I would be losing overtime, but there's no sense of having money that's going toward bills that I don't get a chance to really appreciate. So yeah.
Well, I have to say, congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, looping back to the other thing that was going on today about the Realm of Darkness. But I have been looking on YouTube all afternoon, and for some freaking reason, it's like they don't recognize that specific bot. There are no how to fix this. But what I was looking at, I was wondering if everybody has the role for Realm of Darkness. Maybe that would fix it, but that's just a guess. Otherwise, I don't quite know. I mean, I saw a couple how to set up bots on Discord, YouTube tutorials, and I could link one, but it's just, there is no specific one for Realm of Darkness because I've looked.
Yeah, I've been driving myself a little crazy with it because it is a fully functioning bot. Like, it has, you can literally put your character sheet there, much like with Inkanu. You can keep track of small details as far as the character's history. You can update your character sheet, and all of those functions are part of Realm of Darkness. And they have Realm of Darkness for V5, V20, and Revised. They even have a Hunter plugin, And I've been on their Discord trying to find any FAQ or help to get it operational, because as far as I can tell, having copied the former permissions from Thirst, it should be operational. We even still have, as far as I can tell, even though the syntax doesn't work as well as it once did, Blood Dye even still works for us. And so does Dice Maiden, which is weird because Dice Maiden, of course, isn't specifically for V5 or any storytelling system. But those work. For Realm of Darkness, the main one that I was hoping would be able to be a little more. And I haven't re-found my invite for Incanoe to bring that over so that it's actually there as well. Because I like us having other options just in case Thirst goes down or there's a change to things. And I thought that we had, well, what Realm of Darkness was it having so much functionality that it'd be an all-in-one substitute. And so far, even with all the permissions where they're supposed to be, with all of the access granted to it, even above and beyond where Thirst was, even above and beyond where Malcab and Blood Dye were, it's not operating. It's not giving what it's supposed to be giving.
Well, that's what I was saying. I know it has all the permissions, but maybe giving each person the role that attaches to that. That's what I was saying.
Well,
I wonder if
that the role that they use to basically make it work for everyone is the at everyone role, which everyone should have. That's the default role.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. Like, does everybody have the role that's needed to work with it? But you're saying it's the at everyone, so that should work.
Yeah, that's.
Then I have no freaking clue.
And I was just double checking where it was in the hierarchy, and it is there beneath the coterie, above guest, which is above server booster, and which is above everyone. So you guys are like the coterie permissions are sound. You have full access to everything except for the specific admin for the server. So I'm not sure exactly why it's being a butthead.
By default, characters can only be found or deleted. Oh, that's just characters. That's not the dice roll. I'm trying to read the page and see if there's anything on like the main page that talks about adding permissions. The only thing
you try turning it off and turning it back on it.
the only mention of permissions on the Realm of Darkness Discord page is an admin is defined as either the owner of the server or anyone that has a role that contains the administrator permissions turned on. By default, characters can only be found or deleted by the creator of the character or server admin if the character was created in a server. But that doesn't talk about just using the dice roller, which doesn't... I have no idea why that's not working.
Because I know, like, if you go into roles under the server settings, there's the default permissions for at everyone at the top. And then there's the list of what permissions that role actually has. The only one that I can see that would even directly relate to the bot is use application commands.
Yep, all that's on. Yeah, I have no idea why it's glitching and bugging for us on our servers, but
yeah,
I will continue.
Yeah, like I said last night, I literally installed it into my dead server that I used from my tabletop game to try to figure it out.
Yep, the only thing that you all don't actually have as coterie members is the ability to, well, the admin functions specifically, but then you all don't have managed server, nicknames, kick members, band members, or timeout members. Everything else is ticked for you guys to have access, so there shouldn't be any issues there. And double checking Realm now, yeah, it has all of the same exact, including using voice activity, and it's a bot. It doesn't need voice activity.
Right.
So yeah,
That's what I said. Literally, the only thing I can think of is to completely erase it and re-add it. But I don't know.
well, I will probably. Well, I will have a little time, maybe, depending on how well stocked our little trip is. Me and the wife are getting away for our anniversary, so we'll be leaving bright and early tomorrow morning and getting back Friday mid-afternoon, Friday evening. So, getting away to a little hideaway downstate near Springfield. So, we will enjoy ourselves. And our this year is wax and peridot is the traditional kiss. Oh, and silver, but silver pops up a lot, strangely enough.
Right. Well, happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. So, it goes without saying, do we have any questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we'd like to round off in preparation for diving into this maelstrom, this quiet swell of physical, spiritual, and mental fallout from the coteries' actions?
Just a quick reminder that I'm probably going to have to leave about an hour into this just because I have to wake up so early tomorrow.
Oh, no.
So I won't be able to stay for the full session.
Very, very, very cool. We got you. I did remember. Despite my tardiness, I actually did remember. So everyone remember where we were, dying for the day, with all of the residual energy swirling and swimming around the characters?
Yeah, I got that. What I was gonna say is, so we had already established with the helicopter pilot that we have to meet them back at the hospital on top of the building to get out of there, right?
Yes, or another way to put it, you have to once more head into the fullness of the Hakata domain through their guards, through their watchers, through their power base to get to the point of egress from the city.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. No more questions.
Well, that being the case, silence is always appreciated because you all and we all have a very heightened level of communication. So if there were any issues, I'm sure that they would come to the fore. And with all of us having relatively solid ground under us as to where the characters are, where their actions have left them, with Blue once more returned to his formerly unliving, non-existent, semi-corporeal state, a lesser spirit that he began his continued existence as, with Lucio all but completely healed from his sunbathing, with Miriam realizing that the world is so many more things than had previously been perceived and understood. The artwork loosely crafted and tossed out as an act of self-soothing, taking on a semblance of life, a far more convincing semblance of life than even they have in their current undead state, with Sophia being connected with, tied to the remnants of her father, with her sister now acting as steadfast guard and loyal retainer, with the coterie as a whole behind enemy lines in a far-flung city where any number of political or outright physical actions are taking place, with battles being fought and won all around them. We are just about set to begin. There's but one final and very key important fact that we have not addressed. And that fact is, I appreciate all of you. I want to thank you for everything that we've had the opportunity to share and all the moments that lay ahead of us. This is a fellowship that I could not have initially envisioned. because gone are the days of gathering around my bar in the basement with a few high school friends and friends from before that. Gone are the days where we're able to sit at the same table and toss back dominoes and 2 liters until the sun comes up. But play is no less important. And my appreciation for all of your time and all of your energies is indescribable. There's no way to fully encapsulate how much I appreciate you guys. And without further ado, and without much further delay, I'd like to say that this is officially season 17 of Soup City Sandwich. Episode 2, Forgotten Love and Murder. We all know where we last left our coder. We all know what lay ahead of them. We all know what plans they had in place to escape their new normal. From the frying pan into the fire and back into the frying pan to be finished off in the oven is where they usually are. One death leading inexorably into the next, creating this wellspring of unending chaos, of them daring and surviving the impossible as if it was matter of cause. Initially, Soup City Sins was designed and created with the idea of coming to grips with loss. The coterie began and grew from a very mundane facet, a very unfortunately atypical aspect of living in a large city, which is the eventual loss of ties, the eventual loss of connection, the disappearance of people from our and the characters' lives. From that inciting incident as to what happens to the lost, from that inciting moment of souls being taken from you by time and other nefarious malefactors in our lives, the coterie now finds themselves enmeshed, embroiled in the fullness of all of the Byzantine, Machiavellian planning, plotting, and, well, let's just call it what it is, chaos of kindred society. They were initially the talk of the town, the outsiders who could, to actually becoming the outsiders who did. There's a list of politically and spiritually powerful enemies that the coterie has dispatched. There's a list of politically and actually powerful individuals seeking the coterie's blood. So as the animating force of their deaths begins to reinvigorate the corpses they inhabit, everyone be so kind as to go ahead and roll their rouse rolls. Where do we begin our evening?
Oh, forgot. And I'm going to risk healing another aggravated wound.
So the sun sets, and the semblance of life begins returning to each of our kindred. Some, that returning of that semblance of life brings with it the growling, ever-present negative self-talk that has been exemplified as the beast. Those recriminations, the faces of those now no longer in existence because of them, that need to not become one of the lost, not become one of the formerly existing individuals that, well, you can find on any corner, anywhere in any large urban environment, that need to satiate that ever-present hunger and adding injury to it all. It is not without merit that the Magisters, that the Lasombra have been feared by Kindred society for so very long. Because while the Kindred are considered apex predators, there's a certain facet of them, a certain portion of them that don't have the tools necessary to truly exist in the dark, to truly know what's out there just beyond easy awareness of, easy perception. The Magisters are those things that exist in the deepest part of that darkness, the impenetrable inky darkness that symbolizes death itself, the eternal ending. And it's the difference between dark and asking what someone who has never seen experiences, that nothingness beyond it, that absence that triggers that fear that every living thing has. Nothingness, that absence, that end, all that you know and can potentially perceive. And that's where the Lasombra draw their power. And so as life, more life than you've all seen on his visage in a few nights, comes back to Lucio, that fear is triggered. The shadows moving and crawling to his whim and wills, though it's not his actual will, it's his unconscious need. So visceral and animalistic, hunched back and swelling with anger and rage, and that need to feed is ever present in the shadows along the walls. While you've all died for the day, it's clear and that Victoria has found the light switch, those bright shining lights that scattered every remnant of shadow from you all. She's found the controls and has turned them down. After all, there's something grotesque about watching 4 corpses. There's something disturbing about that. And her all too frail humanness shows itself as you all open your eyes to the darkness and the shadows of Lucio's hunger prowling about you all.
Kind of opening eyes and catching sight of their newest tag along, and then seeing the shadows. Could you put those fucking things away? You're scaring the human.
Sorry, it's not always under my control.
Ariel kind of snort laugh.
Control itself is such a fleeting thing, because as you say that they're not under your control, a few of them snarl and attempt to consume Hestia for noticing them. Y'all motherfuckers know that the light switch was there to keep all the spirits and not strong enough to be here out, including all your shadow shit. Y'all want to turn them lights on? And like the other shoe dropping, there it is. Blue is very much still present.
Yet you still managed to be here. Lovely.
Well, I ain't a typical motherfucker. I got access. I got a backstage pass, as it were. And we got a deal. At least we had a deal until y'all decide to kill me. Again. And again. And again.
Yes, I know you still want your own place.
Well, hell yeah! It says right there in the very Constitution that a citizen is not a citizen if they don't own property. Well, it also said you had to be a white male of a certain age too. But you know that we got amendments for that.
Well, first things first, we should probably eat, and then we need to get to the helipad. So, any ideas as to how we're gonna do that?
Lucio turns to Sophia and asks, when do we have to be there?
We should be on our way.
So we'll just have to grab something to eat on the way there, is what you're saying.
Probably better to wait till we get home.
Fair point. Alright, everyone have what they need? Any lingering business that needs to be taken care of? Or are we good to go?
Well, I always pack light, so I'm ready to go. I probably should leave sooner rather than later, considering what shit y'all done stirred up.
Miriam won't say anything, but in response, she will take down her currently not living drawing and stash it back in her sketchbook.
That is so quaint for you to believe that the heartbeats have stopped, that the lungs are no longer exhaling. The truth of the matter is, much like every facet of living, you grow or have grown accustomed to certain things. It is a human trait to adapt to everything. So you've all but moved it out of mind. It's no longer as shocking as it once was, but as you touch the paper or move it from the wall, that slow rhythmic beat and the inhalations and the flexing grows a little more excitedly. Almost as if it is a puppy that you've come home to.
Take her head.
While you are dead for the day, I did arrange transportation. Your invisible friend you keep speaking to, do they need space as well?
I suppose that we could provide him some space, even though he does seem rather unappreciative.
Well, motherfucker, I did say thank you. At least I thought I did. And if I did not, then forgive me for not saying thank you, motherfucker. Thank you very much for setting me free from all the power that I once had. Able to go wherever I wanted. I was even able to exist during the daylight hours up until you did whatever the hell it was that you did. Now I gotta wait till the sun goes down to be aware of this world, to set my fingers across the boundaries. And that ain't no way to live. Living half the day. Wasting all the hours.
Would you care to explore what else I might be able to do?
Nah, motherfucker, don't get all uppity. Ain't about all that. We ain't gotta go that far. I was saying thank you. I did say thank you. Didn't I say thank you? I did say thank you. Yeah, right? Everybody heard me say thank you.
Thank you.
I heard it the first 10 times you said it.
Also heard motherfucker a whole bunch of times, but we're not counting that. Anyway, let's go, please.
It is amazing how the difference of not having your vehicle, which is what you've come to view the limousine that Silvio had made use of, which is how you came to understand and appreciate the vehicles from the shelter. There was always a vehicle ready. So as you all head upstairs and DJ Barth is sipping what looks like the thickest, creamiest coffee you've ever seen. And your nose tells you that it is nothing coffee about that. When you exit out of the condo, when you exit out of the home, the minivan sitting there is a bit of a letdown. Not as many seats as the shelter's vans, not as much luxury as the limousine, not as much comfort as you all have grown accustomed to. It is serviceable, and it blends in, and it's late enough of a model of a vehicle that is not an antique, and there's a small portion of yourselves that misses the Subaru even. It was the best I could do on short notice. Silvio's contacts were not quite as well versed here in Milwaukee.
Well, I suppose that at least it is not a rusty old truck, but we will make do.
It's only as you all are loading in, as you are embarking upon getting in and getting settled, and of course picking your seats and who's sitting next to whom and who's nearest to whom, and you all do so without really thinking about it. It's not as if this was a school field trip where the kids are jostling for seats, but there very much is that personal social hierarchy and pressures going on. The fact that your luggage has been packed and arranged in the rear of the vehicle does not go unnoticed.
We should probably make an inquiry and see if your Arsenio is even still alive. I'm pretty sure he is. Perhaps we could get him back.
Where exactly are you inquiring?
My new friend Al apparently knows where he is.
Then please do. I'd appreciate it.
There is never a something for nothing. The idea that there is a kindred out there who is not a Castiglione, who has access to or knows where Arsenio is, speaks volumes. Everyone's fingers is in everyone else's pie. And as you all leave DJ Bart's merging onto the 794 to exit back and around onto the 32, you realize that for all of her humanness and needing rest, the Victoria has clearly spent far more of the daylight hours than possible plotting a route of escape. Because 32 in Milwaukee is, North Lake Drive. It's not Lake Shore Drive, but it is North Lake Drive. And it will take you clear north of the city back towards the original point when you all arrive, back into one of the Hakata's domains inside Milwaukee. Much like in Chicago, the Hakata have a hands-off policy. No direct interaction. It is a no man's land for any and every actual towerite, such as your former selves, in most of the city. Meaning that you are at their leisure, you are at their control, you are in their domain, and well, all that might entail. Are there any preparations, attempts, intentions, or ideas that you all would be attempting to accomplish in the drive north back to the hospital?
Well, with the night being early enough, and once we land safely, we need to decide what we're going to do first. Like I said, the thing with Vivi is fairly pressing. I don't know how long they're going to go without attempting to taste her blood and figure out her true sireship. We need to plan for that, and I know you need to still go see where your sister is. I understand that. That's very important. So we need to decide which of those two things is going to happen next and most pressingly. And then the third most important thing is probably shoring up our defenses against whatever the fuck is coming after all of that.
Seems to me if determining the lineage of Vivi is in danger or a danger, that should be first on the agenda.
As much as I hate to say it, I'm inclined to agree. I hate that I have to put off trying to find my sisters again, but I can't exactly help them if I'm dead, so we'll have to help Vivi first.
What do you have to trade for her?
That's the million-dollar question.
Well, the thing is, Deuceable likes power and information. Those are his two favorite things. So if we can offer him something that's either fairly thick with information or fairly powerful, he would probably willingly give her up. If we offer him something that has both power and information, he would probably not bat an eyelash. I mean, I don't exactly know, but we need to at least approach with some sort of plan. If we give it up or leave it up to him to decide what it is he wants, who knows what he asks for? Something that we might not be able to actually accomplish, even though we do the impossible weekly.
You seem to think awfully highly of us, but regardless, I'd previously mentioned offering a copy of the grimoire, but in hindsight, that might take too long to acquire. If he wants power or knowledge, there's only a few things I can think of that would qualify.
I do not know the man, but he sounds like a typical kindred. Do you think perhaps he might be interested to know a dragon has a stone from the first city in his possession within the city?
I'm sure he would love to know that, but would he be willing to give up Vivi for it is the question.
This is a rather large piece of information.
The thing with that is, if we dangle that carrot, it's going to probably bite us in the ass, because he says if we know where it is, we should get it for him. And then that's leading back to the original problem we had of getting it from that psycho murderer guy that Miriam knows.
That would be a completely different bargain then. The information is the offer for what we seek, and if he does not reach that price, then we will not give.
Is currently kind of just like looking around the van and peeking through windows as the scenery kind of moves along. And I'm guessing Blue is in the car, right? Still, has he gone quiet or is he rambling? What is he doing?
He is, strangely enough, quietly looking from person to person to person.
Hess kind of catch a sight of him and then smiles and looks at Sophia. I had a thought.
Oh, no, motherfucker, no. I don't like the way you looking at me. No, whatever it is, no. Fuck, no. Last time y'all sent me off to help with my portion of our bargain, I had to go into servitude to the motherfucking devil himself to get back to some semblance of existence. It ain't much, but it's all I got, and I ain't tossing it away again.
See, that's the thing. I wasn't talking about you. What the hell would he want with you? You're... you. Anyway.
Me?
Sophie.
Anyway, the one person that knows exactly where the empire of the Castigliones is across the veil, the one person knows how far deep into this Shadowlands they actually run, the one person who knows what they are doing with their good friend and buddy and former horse that they rode like their horse, the hitman that put fear to everybody's hearts on this side of in the Skinlands, the one person who knows the plan. I mean, you're right. I don't know nothing, y'all. I have no value whatsoever. I don't know. You're right. You should probably talk to somebody else. I ain't important.
There's a reason you are free, and we shall discuss that later. But you are not for bargain in this matter.
What Sophia said, and has to keep us kind of chuckling a little bit. But then looking at Sophia, could we do what you sort of did to Blue, or what was done to Blue originally with somebody else? Can't believe I'm saying that, but
to bind them, I am capable of binding spirits, yes.
who, I mean, he's a Tremere. What Tremere would like to have a spirit servant at their beck and call? Me personally, I wouldn't, but Usabo might just like that kind of thing. And if we get him a really good one, a fairly powerful one, that might be worth bidding.
I mean, it could possibly be arranged. It's not the thing I could do overnight.
And then what happens if he, like everyone else seems to have done with spirits, decides to send the spirit to spy on us?
Well, see, that is the thing. I bind the spirit to him. It's like a haunting. I still have power over the spirit.
Yep, that's the loophole.
In essence, the spirit could be used to spy for us.
Knowing how powerful and knowledgeable Dusable is, do you really think he'd fall for that?
I think you overestimate how much the Tremere know about our arts. I am rather schooled and rather skilled, and I know very little about blood magic.
And while that is a good point, Lucio, the thing is, the whole reason he was mad at me about Sylvia is because Sylvia was our spooky expert. Everybody has their own power set. Mine is ley line powers and things tied to that. Hers was binding, banishing, and calling spirits. She was kind of like a Tremere version of a necromancer. So once we got rid of Sylvia, I'm not saying he don't have no tricks up his sleeve that I don't know about, but that was his main reason for being mad about Sylvia dying, because there was nobody to teach or pass on the knowledge that Sylvia had to the rest of the Tremere.
It is perhaps possible he may give her up for a favor to be named later. If he is lacking knowledge in this department. I have an overabundance of knowledge in this department.
I was just about to say that is something that sounds like he'd be interested in.
Okay, and we are of an accord. We have a loose and adjustable plan as to what to offer him, and hopefully get movie back without too much issue. Saying that, though, you know there's gonna be something.
There always is.
Have you thought what you wish to do with Vivi when you get her? She is a rather large liability for you now.
And the other shoe settles into the midst of these kindred as they are nearly to their destination. The other shoe being the considerations for Vivi and the very real fact that they've crossed an invisible threshold, unknown to most, but because of their close proximity and continued existence in the very depths of all of that supernatural energy that is the shelter, all of the supernatural activities that is in fact Sophia's unlife and immortality, and all of the supernatural energies that they roused and utilized the previous instance. They're, while inured to it and accustomed to it, feel it run over their skin, feel it draw their breath, unneeded though it is, short. Lucio remembers the wall made of spirits. He understands that the boundary that they've crossed is a congealed, solidified form of spiritual energy. He can't help but have ghost images of that wall as they cross into the Hakata territory where they initially landed. They are roughly 3 minutes from the hospital, 3 minutes from escape from this place and back into their normal hole of hell.
That's a horrible sensation. I am hoping that doesn't mean that we have just hit the radar, but I'm pretty sure it means that we have.
So we're not the only one that felt that then.
It's hard to say, but probably not.
With that being said, that means Hess is going to stick her face more tightly up against the glass and start looking for things.
Miriam will place her hand on her bag just shake her head.
There's something warm inside. Something vibrating with its own heartbeat and exhalations of breath. And as you rest your hand against your back and shake your head at what the ever-loving, there's a calming of that accelerated beating. There's a stilling of that breath that was coming rapid and raggedly through those empty lungs. Almost as if you are, in your touch, you are able to soothe it. And as Hestia stares out of the window, more pointedly looking for things that are outside of the normal. Again, that idea of normal, that idea of that middle of that line segment, somewhere the average adds up to something remotely understandable, something remotely easily adjusted to, a standard, a status quo. Nothing about that applies to where they are now. The people are not as poshly dressed as even the poor in Chicago, not because there's less money circulating through and around Milwaukee, more the fact that more individuals here have blue collar jobs. So there's a lot more well-worn jeans. There's a lot more t-shirts that have been worn a day or two longer than they should, because after all, no one cares what you wear on the factory floor so long as the stains aren't that obvious. The nightlife is different. Milwaukee wears its blue collar as a symbol of pride, whereas Chicago's broad shoulders are quick to get home and change it to the evening's finery. Play clothes as an idea don't really exist as much here. There's a do whatever it takes behind every face. There's a just get through it that is unshakable. And the fact that the dead don't hide themselves nearly as easily. There are faces that you pass that are clearly no semblance of living. Also sprinkled through those many, surprisingly many faces out at this hour of the evening, early though it might be, are faces that are not human in any real discernible way. And while most are carrying on with their lives or their semblances of such, a few glowing green or yellow eyes from the dead watch as the minivan moves along with traffic, barely avoiding potholes the size of the Grand Canyon on its destination. You are sure that, like signal flares, the small head nods or the fixed stare following your path along the streets are being relayed to others.
Victoria, we are close to our destination, but the road may get bumpy.
Should we be on the lookout for anything?
We are very close, but as far as I can tell from the network of us ghouls, us servants that are in operation, there is a current war between two of the families here. Something about the Castigliones, but I believe that they were formerly held and operated out of Chicago. I couldn't exactly verify the rumors, but it seems as if this area of town is under their sway.
Why is it always the fucking Putanescas?
Water, like slime, gets everywhere and falls to its level.
Sophia will just chuckle at that.
And despite all the paranoia that the views and the watchfulness ratchets up in the gathered kindred, there's one thing that causes Hestia and Lucio's blood to run cold. Colder than even its dead state. The vitae in their system ceases its clawing, crawling, and need for more blood. Because as they near the hospital, as Vittoria expertly wheels them through traffic and into the parking structure so that they can get into the hospital, they catch sight of a camo pink Maserati. His license plate burned into their memory. They recognized the vehicle. After all, it was at their hands, though not directly them personally, but at the hands of their coterie, that such a car came into existence.
His, eyes wide and leans over to Lucio. I think I'm hallucinating. Pretty sure I'm hallucinating. What the fuck is that doing here?
Out of character, I think I need a reminder.
Okay. Well, to bring everyone up to speed, somewhere near or on the night of March 29th, the coterie that became known as the Shelter met to follow up on the many missing individuals that had gone missing. In their actions, they absconded with the black on black Maserati driven by the head of the Tory family, the head of the Tory outfit, which is, as we all know, is part of the Castiglione and Tory. In absconding with the Maserati, their former coterie member, Raul, drove the car to a chop shop, but instead of getting rid of it, had it painted so that it was in fact visually a different car. That Maserati was given a pink on pink camouflage painting, because after all, no one bothers to look at something that stands out so garishly. No one would either make the connection, or at least that had been the thought, until the coterie found out that the car was low-jacked. It was being tracked. There was anti-theft technology in the vehicle. And that car is sitting there as you all enter into the parking structure for the hospital.
So with that in mind, Lucio will just comment, well, I wasn't expecting to see that again.
I am rather sad that I have seen it now. Who would ruin a beautiful car that way?
Yeah, who? I wonder.
There's a beauty to how absolutely horrible the idea of it is. There's the idea of it has its place. It goes back to that argument as to what actually art is. Is it art because it's in the museum, or is it art because it was art and thus because it quantifies as art was placed into a museum, so forth and so on. That argument has gone back for all time. The idea has its merits. The visual effrontery of that pink on pink camoed Maserati is another matter entirely. Especially being as is the one of the few rare modified sedan Maseratis, initially a two-door that had been modified and turned into a sedan, making it a road vehicle instead of just a race vehicle, an ideal. It normally, in its black on black color, speaks of power and elite luxury while doing so. As it stands now, it is eye-catching. It holds the attention. It declares that here is, well, a monster, which befits Sierra Torre, the youngest and only female known mafioso still in operation and maintaining control over nearly the entirety of the west side of Chicago. Drugs, guns, unprovable racketeering across the board. She's Chicago's version of the Teflon Don before he was actually finally ratted out. She is a force, or at least had been a force. Quiet over the last few months because of the federal investigations. And it is clear that her quiet was her moving to calmer, easier, operable climates, such as Milwaukee, close enough to call the shots, far enough away to not be directly linked physically. And as you all find a nice parking spot in a reserved for guests parking slot, Victoria dismounts the vehicle, begins removing the luggage. Paying absolutely no mind to the fact that this hospital is host to the head of a criminal organization. Paying no mind that this hospital has all but been declared, that's an open sign, there's operating Hakata in this hospital, that this hospital, for lack of a better word, is rife with them. Capable and confident often looks like what she's presenting. But you know the saying, pride goes before a fall.
Do I know the political landscape here, the family at all, other than my mother?
In the quick study that you've been here with your mother, it is clear that the weakening of the Castiglione Tories in the physical world has prompted a shattering of the family, because the Castigliones hold the north, the Rossi hold the center, as it were, and yet again there's still another Hakata family, a famine of Samdi, who hold the south. They are at odds with each other, all while maintaining superficially that they are a singular entity.
All right, and we're outside Rossi territory. We're in someone else's territory at the moment, right?
Yep. You are in the Castiglione Tories territory in Milwaukee, the fountain of it.
Perfect.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna be heading out now. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Luciana.
Night. So anyway, waiting for the luggage and needing to soon catch the helicopter out on the roof, I will move through like I own the place.
Without needing to be told, without needing to be directed, Victoria falls in line on your left, moving a half a step ahead, scanning the area, keeping clear visual and vigilance over what might be heading towards you all. The luggage, the rolling suitcase in her left hand, her right kept free. It is clear that she draws down with her right. It's clear that she is right-handed. All of those little cues and clues that you miss from Silvio's wariness. He had the upper hand in such a situation because of his long-lived existence and his ambidexterity trained into factual ambidexterity, not just a leaning towards being able to operate with both hands, a full usefulness of both with a near perfectly equal skill. Victoria hasn't been alive that long, nor that skilled. As you all make your way through the hospital, certain signs present themselves that you are immediately aware of. They all but broadcast that this is a Hakata institution. They all but broadcast that if you walk into a locked room or a closed door, you may not potentially walk back out. You are clearly behind enemy lines and clearly being watched, almost as if they knew you're coming.
Sophia will continue to bank on the fact that her and her mother are not in any way allied other than sharing a last name or a branch of the family. And also that status is a wonderful thing.
Hess is going to do her best to follow suit. Fake it till you make it. But her hand is kind of like very carefully within easy grasp of her blade, but she is chin high and following Mama Duck.
Miriam will do much the same, politics, not her strong suit. She's going to just play along.
Excellent. That being the case, let's see if we can forestall the impending doom that had been planned by individuals who think that they're smarter than they are. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma plus status with a +4, accounting for Victoria, Hestia, Miriam, and Lucio, as you all pretty much own the place, as you all do your walk. Your DC is 2.
Does my chamber status boost count in this matter?
Yes, it would act as a specialty. There is always in public places a theater of security to give the idea and the image that everyone is safe and everything's well in hand, that if anything were to happen that they are prepared for it. That is seldom the actual truth of the matter, save in institutions that are criminally bent, because they are at all times wary, aware, and paranoid of their illegalities being brought to the surface. So that theater of security is even, true. There is a heightened level of actual security. There are men willing to do bad things to protect their castle, to protect their town, to protect what is theirs. And that feeling does not ever leave. That feeling doesn't dissipate, doesn't evaporate. The moment that you are in, it is clear that you're being sized up for weaponry, threat level, whether they should act now or wait till you're more alone. And that more alone happens when you all get into the elevator. It is clear that the thought is passed along like an invisible telephone each person is dialed into the party line for, and looks are had. Security officers look back and forth, and you see a few whispers as it is clear they are more aware as to the family's happenings and going on than they should be, because a few of them head nod with their chin or whisper offhandedly as you walk past them. And then you get to the elevator, and a relatively tanned, dark-haired woman appears almost as if from nowhere. Actually, the room next to the elevator, the one elevator that heads to the roof. And as she steps in, she swipes her badge. It takes a few floors because it is 4 to the roof from where you all are before she speaks. And as you all get to the roof and she hasn't exited yet, you all do the mental math. The shoes, the pantsuit, the lack of a doctor's coat or a lab coat, the lack of a stethoscope, the lack of anything that knows her as a doctor. Yet there is a certain value to what she is wearing that bespeaks that she has a significant amount of funds. And as the door opens and the helicopter is there waiting, and the pilot initially begins to take a step towards you but stops, that it is clear that you are here in the elevator with Sierra, the young vivacious mafiosa who leads the Tory family of the Chicago outfit. And she smiles, that half smile that those accustomed to power use, because after all, having power means if you pay attention to anyone, they are clearly worth it and will do what they can to maintain that glow of your attention. I hope you guys have fun.
I thank you for your hospitality, brief as it was. We should speak in the future.
I will look forward to it. Hugo is under the impression that you might be someone worth entertaining. I hope that's the case.
I will endeavor to prove it to be so.
Excellent. Enjoy your flight. We'll be watching.
Let me know if she gets out of hand.
And as you all exit the elevator, it is clear in the small, brief, almost terse conversation that many things were said that need to be deciphered. Many flouting of power and authority. Many small moments of truth shared as a way to prove something. The question is, what was proved and what was verified? As you all get into the helicopter and take off, once more pulled from the gravity of the planet, once more watching the city explode around you and seeing the difference in just the use of power that Milwaukee has versus the use of power that Chicago tries to light itself as if it is in fact the center of the universe, tries to light itself as if it is the stars of heaven. Milwaukee doesn't need that attention, doesn't strive for that shine. It simply is. It is a monstrous city of monstrous individuals willing to do whatever it takes to survive not only the night, but the blazing rays of day. And as the city erupts around you, more shadow than light, that difference is driven home. That feeling of leaving the earth isn't as queasy, is not as vomit-inducing. It's almost as if the city itself is kicking you out instead of fighting to pull you back to the earth.
So all things considered, that went well.
Yeah, except for the whole your mom was gonna sacrifice us part, but
That was kind of the downside.
You were not sacrificed, and she tipped her hand by overplaying it, so it was a win.
So lizard people exist. That's weird.
It is a strange world we live in.
I mean, is it really too much of a stretch for there to be lizard people if there are wolf people?
Okay, yeah, that was a little speciesist of me, but it's still weird. I mean, because the thing is, the wolf people turn into humans most of the time and they can walk around. I don't think those guys can look human at all.
It's hard to say.
There is a truism that what goes up must come down. And normally that coming down is relatively safe because after all, there's only but several few ways to die from falling from such height. That fear doesn't ever quite leave, even knowing how safe you all relatively are inside of flying conveyances. So as the pilot begins to quickly move and adjust buttons and try to adjust several things, that fear comes rearing back to the forefront of your thoughts. No alarms are going off, nothing that you've seen in a movie or read in a book or, seen in your Google research as to how to fly helicopters and what to expect. None of those things. Something else is afoot. Something other. Because there are no alarms, there are no flashing buttons, but it is clear that the pilot seems to believe that there is. It is clear that the pilot is doing his best to remain calm in the middle of something that instills a panic within him. And the fact that Blue is braced for crash sends its own vibrations through you all.
Are we having a problem up there?
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. And oh shit!
It don't look like it's fine. You all right?
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. We'll be. We need to. I'm plotting a emergency landing. There's a Basilica of St. Joseph that has a helipad for some reason. We'll be landing there. Just bear with me. Bear with me.
Wait. Is that still considered in Milwaukee, or will we be closer to Chicago?
Ma'am, it's Caledonia, actually. We're just bear with me. I'll be able to tell you something in a second.
Just looks at Sophia. Something's up. Obviously.
Assuming Blue is visible, Miriam is just going to look at him. It's like, what's going on?
You motherfuckers had to piss people off while you motherfuckers just can't go along with the program. Oh fuck. Just because you don't have a physical body doesn't mean that the fear of falling ever quite leaves. Just because one doesn't have actual corporealness doesn't mean that the fear of loss or pain, more specifically, ever actually goes anywhere. And knowing that and experiencing his loss of granted power through the Castigliones, that fear takes precedence. He has clearly died in so many different situations where there is a real worry as to such.
Am I okay?
So we have gremlins.
Yeah, Hess is going to slip into Sense the Unseen to see if there's some sort of magic component to this, or like if there's something fiddling with things that they can't see. Because if no alarms and shit is going off, that makes her think something's up.
Because they are fairly obvious, there's no need to roll your wits and awareness. They aren't hiding because they normally can't be seen by anything living. There are several grotesquely obese individuals of various mottled coloration all over the instrumentation. It's hard to believe that something so large and slug-like could actually be so nimble, but as they roll and rock through the instrument plano and climb and have the blades literally slicing through their incorporeal forms, it is clear that you all are beset by manifestations of less than positive feelings, that these beings, these entities, have either never existed or have not existed in so long that they've lost sense of what being bipedal even actually is. They don't need legs to move. They don't need arms to do what they do. Yet their eyes, their eyes are literally the green of envy. Their eyes glow with the need to devour and absorb, the need to destroy. And they work their way through the instrument panel, diving through the floorboards, hanging along the outside of the helicopter, slithering across the window in front of the pilot, invisible to him, clearly visible to Blue, and clearly known to Blue. Because he flinches as one circles the outside near as where he is present. He looks through the floor and watches as another swims along the metal, eating at the sensors and causing all sorts of small things to happen.
Miriam, when you said gremlins, I didn't think you were right, but yeah, that whatever the fuck that is. And then she goes for the blade. And testing stabs where one is, not into the helicopter, but like, yeah, aiming for one of the creatures.
There is a glee that takes hold when the blade slices through where it was. It doesn't squeal or scream in pain, but as you bring the dagger back towards your face, away from the initial strike, it is coated in a slickness that can only be described as disgusting. It is a moist, tacky, viscous substance. And even though you know that it's not, it seems to be burning your sacrificial dagger.
Oh, so these are the games we want to play, huh? They can be hurt, so however you want to do it. She's telling Lucio and the others in the helicopter that they can be attacked. And she flicks the ooze off the blade and goes for another one. They're going to learn today.
There's something affirming about that if it bleeds, you can kill it. That idea has stayed with the coterie and its members for a very, very long time. As the helicopter lands, and these things, once they make contact with the ground, meld with it, fall into pieces from the various attacks from Hestia and those who join in. Damaged though they are, there's a gleeful na I got my lick back as they fade into the earth itself. It is clear that doing so all but ends their existence, as if that is, well, the cost of being able to operate.
Miriam will just sigh. Clearly, what I wanted to do today was be in an episode of The Twilight Zone. Literally. So what now?
Ms. Rossi, I'm truly sorry about this. I will get us back and moving fairly shortly. I'm not exactly sure what was happening with the instrumentation, but it was best to land instead of continue. I don't know. I am truly, truly sorry.
It's very inconvenient.
Landing where you all are, there is a beaten and battered sign that, even though he called it the Basilica, the name on the sign, which you can read from the missing letters, is New Omega. Something about that doesn't seem quite as welcoming as a church or a sanctuary should normally be. Especially as, since the unseen still being up means that you are aware that the graveyard that lies just south of where you all are is in fact very occupied. It is all the more startling that such a run-down location has a helipad. It is very much out of the way. There's a highway of sorts behind you. It's a standard, 4-lane roadway with a huge median between going north, west, and southeast. Not sure which road that is, which highway that is, but it's clearly one of the older expressways instead of the new superhighways with 5, 6, 8, 10 lanes. No, this one is one of the arteries of the old world, of the way things used to be. And yet, based on the pale wan light from the homes around you and how quickly night has fallen, it is clear that this place doesn't have many locals, doesn't have many watchful eyes near enough at hand. And the sound of the road behind you, the trucks moving along their way, lets you know that, well, it's just you all out here in the dark.
Okay, now wait a minute. Where'd you say we were at again?
It's called the Basilica. It's one of the way stops for several travelers. We're just south of Caledonia. We're technically in Franksville.
And who told you to bring us here?
It's the safest location that's not owned by any particular faction. It's in our business, we need certain way stops, and this is one of the out of the way places that we are sure that we can repair if as needed or make exchanges as needed. Often our service is simply the delivery of parcels. Again, I'm truly sorry. I would not have stopped here if there was any other viable location. However, everything between, well, North Caledonia and Truesdale is technically owned by the Anarchs, and they are particularly offended with our services of late. Seems as if there was some upheaval in the south suburbs of Chicago, and word has spread. So as we try to maintain our neutrality, it has forced us to, unfortunately, incur their wrath.
Being paranoid as she is, she will then use compel and tell him, basically tell me the truth.
Oh, being completely human? He is 100% telling the truth. You find out that their business operates at a semblance of neutrality. And with that semblance only comes because they do their best to avoid any actual war zones. They do their best to raise their prices so that it's more cost effective to not be at war with each other, which is a kindred basic of survival. And they currently are on the outs with the Anarchs, and that whatever was happening to the helicopter was beyond his control. There, however, is a price on your head.
Who has put this price on my head?
The new head of the Castiglione family, Hugo Karjaks.
Hugo.
What? He got promoted.
Interesting. She'll turn and look at Blue then. Tell me what you know of this place.
We shouldn't fucking be here. You see all them motherfuckers out there? They ain't dealt with real live humans in a very long time. Them people over there might as well be dead to begin with. And when he points to them people over there, he points to the houses that you can see roughly about 1/8 of a mile to a full-on 1/4 of a mile from where you're standing. The expressway behind you is in fact an expressway, though a smaller one. It's literally a throwback. It is one of the few still operating major tributaries through the middle spaces, through the flyover country that is most of the Midwest.
What significance does this have to your former master?
Those things are look, those things they send it out because their spirits of greed. Most times they inhabit people and you're able to get them to do what you want without actually having to do much work. They take care of themselves. And the moment that they touch down in anything near holy ground, they are shunted back to the Shadowlands.
How long to get the helicopter running again?
I'm working on it. My best guess is maybe an hour, maybe 2.
We'll be dead by then. Or at least you will.
I'm working on it. Look, I don't want to be here. This is not goodness. That's Northwestern Avenue. You know what that means, right?
Enlighten me.
It's one of the main roads that allow you guys to move from place to place. It is a frequent, easily accessible, out of the way space. And you all have road pirates that use that. So if they notice us, before I get us fixed, me being alive is of no consequence to anyone at all. And when the instrument's down, I can't radio out for backup, for help, which is what we need. If you all have a working cell phone, I will gladly dial a number that will let people know where we are so someone can come and try to meet us. Maybe arrange transportation for us out of here without us getting stuck.
It was not a threat. It was not threatening you. And then she will check and see if we have a working cell phone.
Victoria looks from you to him, shakes her head, pulls out a strange little Motorola flip phone. Not a Razor. It's an off-brand of the Razor, but it is clearly operational. She flips it open and uses the buttons and starts dialing. And it's been a long time since you guys have seen an actual non-haptic keypad on a phone. It's a quaint little reminder of where technology once was. But as she does, and she looks from it to you, she hands you the phone. Ma'am.
Will this work?
Do you got an actual mod? Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Then he takes the phone and he takes a half a step away to give a semblance of privacy, not really caring or knowing how far your senses stretch. The call is clearly coded. He offers his call sign, his route number, the number of guests he has, and what happened. And then there's a bunch of okay. And then he hands the phone back. This is... I'm sorry. There's, we have a bunch of freelancers not far. In fact, they're just southwest of us, down in Sturtevant. They normally roam this area. They're part of the yacht club. So they are behind enemy lines as well, but they're willing to give us a hand. If you all are okay with it.
Seems like we really have no choice but to be okay with it.
Okay. And he hits the one on the phone and ends the call. The wolf pack will be here shortly to give us a lift back down into Chicago. They know the back roads almost as well as most of us. And
Sophia will kind of smirk at that and shoot a glance over to Hestia.
No, fuck, not those guys. Really? Shit.
You know them?
Oh yeah, we're besties.
Oh, well then good.
I take it you didn't get the sarcasm with the way I said that. No, they hate me and people that I'm associated with, and I am not that big of a fan of theirs either.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. But they are some of our best freelancers, and they relatively move with impunity through most of the area, most of the region.
I do not know the source of the consternation, but I am relatively assured that perhaps you are not worth burning an alliance over.
She kind of shoots a quick glance at Lucio, but then... yeah, probably not. A little bit of miscommunication, but yeah, probably not.
Perhaps you will have a chance to make amends on the journey. Then everyone wins, yes?
Well, depending on when they arrive, they can have you to Kenosha Airport within the next 40 minutes from them being here, which will get you all back airbound and home within the next 2, if that is any amelioration of whatever issues you all have between them. I can assure you that they are very, very professional despite how they look. Blue is shaking his head. He's doing everything he can to bite his mouth, his tongue, and keep from spewing whatever it is that's sitting there dancing threateningly.
We'll go on. You're stressing me out just by standing there. You're almost vibrating.
I can't say anything. I can't. There's certain things I can't just say, and I want to tell you because this shit. You motherfuckers need to.
Can you play charades?
Not with all these people fucking watching me. Motherfucker. Damn. Shit.
Can you write it?
Not anymore. Of all the fucking things to miss.
Okay, you said if without us watching it. So what if most of us turn our backs and you just play charades with Miriam?
It ain't y'all, it's the others that are. And he points toward the helicopter, and he points toward the darkness around you, and he points specifically towards the back graveyard.
See. I mean, I don't see, but I see.
I'm at a loss. I could block them from hearing, but it would also block you. So
now you see why this shit pisses me off. If I was as strong as I used to be, damn it, I always pick the wrong motherfuckers.
if you were as strong as you used to be, you would still be shackled to them, and you would not be here. So it is irrelevant. What is it you cannot tell me? Because your masters already know that you are no longer shackled, that you are a free agent again.
Yeah, but some things are deep and fucking complex. Look, so I can only say this as quickly and obtusely as I possibly can so I can get it out, and it's there. What you guys figure out is what you figure out. I didn't tell you, so it's okay. So look, imagine, if you will, that the people know that the best way to stay ahead of everyone is to be aware of everyone. So everyone has 5 to 10 cameras floating around, flying around like flies on a wall, like and so those flies buzz back often and change shifts often. And certain places are loaded with flies that don't all go buzzing back to the same place. And some of those flies are like horse flies, and they bite. And when enough of them bite, the blood that wells up draws fucking lions and tigers and bears. And we are in a zoo with no bars.
So what do you propose we do? Hitchhike?
I am bound, so I'm good. However, there are wild things out, and he points toward the darkness growing around you. Because it's been long enough since sunset that the last embers of the daylight no longer exist in the sky above. It is not pitch black, midnight, inky darkness, but it is very, very close. It is at that warm intersection of all of the light of day having prominently faded, but before the witching hour has fully encompassed the world around you. The stars are beginning to twinkle one by one in the sky above. The houses there in the distance are moving into the evening hours for that household. You can tell because all the lights aren't on. There are a few lights on. There's a few flickering glimpses from either computer screens or TVs as people settle into their nightly rituals. And to your west, while there are still graves in that direction, it is all but dark. The trees, the ash and fir standing close enough together to all but form a wall between you and what lay in that direction. Behind you, the noises of the expressway take up tempo even though the spaces between them are longer and longer, as less people are driving, the commute is nearly completely done for most people in the area. Now you have over the road drivers who will be moving on their own pace. And south of you is a clearly old yet well maintained graveyard. It is a small tributary in the river of spiritual energy that ties the cities together. It's a small tributary of a oasis, if you will, bubbling energy, a connective point. And the pitter-patter from Miriam's bag, while not ratcheted up to the point where it is annoyingly loud, is still going and still comfortably beating and breathing, flexing and stretching. It's funny what you can grow accustomed to.
Well, we could do like our old days and just steal a car.
Are there cars nearby to steal?
You're sure that one of the houses there in the distance has a vehicle? Being this close to the expressway, it is almost a definitive that several of them have several vehicles. Otherwise, they'd be living a most depressing lifestyle.
I mean, it would get us out of here quicker, and the pilot can wait for the wolf pack. But we can try to follow this old road or whatever and get ourselves to the Kenosha airport ourselves, seeing as how it's only supposedly 40 minutes away.
So who knows how to hotwire a car then? Because I don't.
And therein lies the question of it all. What chances to take and what chances to not. Because as you stand there in this graveyard, in this forsaken place where it was clear that someone worked overtime, called in favors to slow your path of travel back to the city. There's always some nefarious plot afoot. There's always someone in someone else's business. There's always a clock ticking in the background. And you're not being in the city, you're not being viable or able to stop things is very much on the agenda.
It just occurred to me, speaking of Hugo, by the way, looking at Blue, he left us with a gift that one night, inadvertently. I wonder if it would still work. And she goes into her knapsack and looks for the black handle.
Would you have managed to save enough of it to be of any real use? Go ahead and roll your Resolve plus Occult DC 3.
Sophia will look at Blue as she's rummaging for her candle there and say, "Do you know if Hugo has been giving the gifts or is he still just a proxy?"
That motherfucker had enough to deal with when Mama Cash nearly sent him to hell. He has been doing everything he can to make sure that he is a good, loyal, upstanding soldier. And he waits and looks towards Hesha. She lights up the black candle. The moment that she does, the area seems immediately 5 to 10 degrees lighter. The shadows near and dear at hand, the night pressing in, seems to not be applying nearly as much pressure. The moment that the candle strikes up and its flames begins to shine a wan light on everything around you all, Blue smiles. Motherfuckers, you guys still got that shit very, very good. Look, here's the thing. Hugo don't got the kids, but he does have a kindred through the Tremere that he has been sipping on to keep himself as strong and powerful as he was. There is a contract between the Hakata and the Tremere right now of complete and total non-interference, provided Hugo sticks to the plan and eventually takes out Zal. He has about 4 weeks to do so, because if Zal rises to the actual position of local pater, they can't do anything against her. And she has been usurping the thin blood that Sylvia trained up in the path of magic and using them as her delivery boys and girls.
I know what Zal has been up to. I did not know about the alliance or with Hugo and his contract to kill her.
Oh, Hugo's still a hitman. He's always been a hitman. Why do you think he made his bones? It's the reason why Mama and Papa Cass kept him around to begin with. He was a doer.
Well, that just bought him some time then.
Go back to that thing you said about him sipping on a person provided by the Tremere. Is that BB by any chance?
Not sure. I think it might be. We can't get inside of the Dusable ain't stupid, but he ain't the brightest cookie. He fails to realize that it takes a lot of effort, but we can occasionally possess some of you. So while he keeps us out as we are, when we exert enough effort to get inside, we do get a couple of quick looks before we get kicked back to the Shadowlands. So here's the thing. I'm not sure how much time you got, and he looks at the flickering black candle. So I'm going to lay it out as quickly as I can before I can't say anything else. So right now, with that lit, we are in a cone of silence, nothing, and no one can hear what we are saying or understand what is transmitted between us. So here's the thing. You motherfuckers have enemies that will do everything they can to bring you low. They're hoping that Sophia enmity, her anger with them will keep her blind to the fact that they are pushing just enough to keep her busy, so that she doesn't realize that Zal is a linchpin. If they get Zal dead, that creates a vacuum which they can fill with Maria, who they are, well anyway, they are chosen Tory. They're trying to get them embraced so that they can become pater. And if they have a connection to the pater, they will tie their Shadowlands empire to the real world again. And they have plans once that happens.
Well, isn't it unfortunate for them that I never make any sort of action out of emotion?
They've been hoping on your emotions being just close enough to the surface that you forget what their end goal is. They figure if they keep you off balance, that the shelter won't be able to operate, especially being as it's been tied to the Hakata. So they can't actively slit their throats anymore. They're playing in deeper waters than they ever had before, and there's no way going back for them.
Sophia will look to Vittoria, and you said I had a network at my disposal, yes?
Yes, the ghouls of the family have a network, and we have embedded ourselves in as many places as we can.
I'm going to need to remove many pieces from the table. Do you think they can do that if you give the order when the walls are quieter?
Yes, I'll verify that Sylvia will maintain proper contacts with the local network, and we will be at your behest.
I need to hit power bases, fronts. You know what I need to do. I need to create enough chaos that they have to scramble for a while to refill those holes. They hit their revenue streams as well as other things.
Consider it done.
It turns out to me that we could probably hit Hugo from both sides. Take away his ties to the Tremere.
Does Sophia know how old Hugo is?
Yes, he is roughly between 80 and 125 years old.
She will smile. Leave Hugo to me.
And like that, there's a plan. There's a notion. There's a suggested course of actions that lay ahead of his shelter. Dangerous though they are, impossible though they seem, it is just another average Tuesday for the coterie, for the shelter. And with those plans being laid and the considerations for the future being finalized, we draw away just to the outside edge of the light cast by the last embers of the black candle, and crawling in the shadows, doing their best to strain their senses to pierce the veil of protection that the candle offers, are specters and spirits, near and dear to the monstrous actions of the shelter. There is a assistant district attorney and his fiance. There is a woman pulled from the full cup of her life, trying to reconnect with living, not just surviving, killed for no reason whatsoever, and several other faces from their actions over the last few years that have been promised vengeance, that have been promised the opportunity to serve a greater good of laying the shelter low. Blocked though they are from being able to hear, to see, to truly grasp whatever is happening inside that circle of light, their pain and anger is visible. And as the can-do sputters out, the plans shared, the actions decided, those spirits draw closer, like the flies mentioned before, seeking to bite, to sting, to draw enough blood to pull those dark, angry things in the ground to the surface, to bring those spirits from those predators from the Shadowlands into the now, to have them have their way with the shelter. And with the presaging battle in front of us, with the spirits circling hungrily, I'd like to thank you all for a lovely session. And I will see you guys next week. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night all.